Okay. Pastor asked me to give a testimony about the service this morning at the synagogue for Rosh Hashanah. So I don't know. I can't remember if I've been to a Rosh Hashanah service there before. I've been there going to the synagogue kind of on and about 10 years, more so in the last few years I've been there for the majority of the holidays, I would say. But if I have gone to a Rosh Hashanah service, sorry, that's a tongue twister, Rosh Hashanah service. If I have been to one before, I don't really remember it. So they blow the shofar at the service. I didn't go to the service yesterday, and the reason, so technically Rosh Hashanah is 2 days, but since the calendar fell on a Saturday, then it went for like 3 days. So the service they had on Friday night, and then they do kind of a regular service that they had yesterday, which I didn't go to. Pastor went to that. And then they had the blowing of the shofar today, which is technically the second day. So they skip the Saturday and just continue with their normal services that they have on Saturday. So they blew the shofar this morning, and they have a service, and they have a bunch of, prayers that they go through. And there was an anointing there. And I was a little out of it this morning in the sense that I don't think I woke up fully, and I just kind of got dressed and went, but I was not 100% with it. But then when I got there, it was a very peaceful spirit, and it's not like that all the time. I've definitely been there, and sometimes I don't really feel an anointing. It's a little uncomfortable. It depends on the people who are there. It's very different from a church service. But there were 2 thoughts that I had during the service that I found very interesting, because Pastor mentioned something about them in the service, in the meeting today, that I felt we had the same thoughts. I don't know if we had them at the exact same time, but one of the thoughts that I had was that one of 3 things has changed in all the years that I've been going there. Either I've changed as a person, either the spirit in the synagogue has changed, or both of those has occurred. Because it was definitely a much more peaceful spirit. I felt more comfortable there. So something had definitely changed, and I think it was certainly a more powerful service than I've ever felt before. And the second thing was, when we were reading the blessings, the prayers that they were saying, they have them in Hebrew and English. So as I was reading them in English, I did come across the same section that Pastor talked about in the meeting today about Hagar. And I did have a thought actually about, well, that's interesting, because when Sarah was essentially pressuring Abraham to, get rid of Hagar and her son because she felt threatened, I had the thought, well, now Abraham's in distress because he has 2 women that he has to appease, which is the nightmare, one of the nightmares for all men in the world. Like, appeasing one woman is difficult enough, let alone 2. And so now he's caught between 2 women. And so I thought, well, maybe Sarah, he succumbed to Sarah's pressure, and he was never supposed to get rid of Hagar and her son. And maybe Sarah was asking him to do the wrong thing, and her motive wasn't right. And so then it just kind of snowballed into some thoughts about the descendants of Ishmael and where they are today. They're, in the Middle East, in India, if they went west or east. And so I just had the thought, about all these descendants, their soul parts in the people today are going to be just coming together. Like, there's going to be a reconciliation between all the people and all the religions that have come across that are so different, similar but different, and especially the Abrahamic traditions that really have a brotherly competition with each other on who's right and who has the legitimate authority, and that there really is going to be a reconciliation between essentially the spiritual siblings from Abraham's descendants. So I was just kind of thinking about that in the service. I thought that was very interesting. So it was definitely a blessed service, and I'm really glad that I went this morning. The anointing was definitely there. So it's just going to be interesting to see what happens, this coming Yom Kippur, and just for future services that we attend there as well.
Is Jason online?
No, he's not online.
That would be okay.
I don't, let me see if he's on the phone.
Okay, we're good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what we're done.